Hello and welcome to this edition of Crossover. I'm Ji Xiaojun with Li Zhongmiao and Lily, and we're going to continue our conversation about the records in the World Expo in Shanghai. Well, sadly, it's coming to its end. It's been there for over 5 months already, and well, supposedly it's for 6 months.
Yeah,
so
half a year.
By the end of October, it's coming to the end. And sometimes we don't just realize time goes so quickly, you know.
Yeah.
And because I know you've been busy doing programs, you know, introducing all these pavilions, events inside the World Expo.
Because we have shows every day about the expo, so I feel like it's been part of my life now, and and now it's suddenly suddenly and sadly it's going to end.
Not yet. I mean, for the Beijing Olympics, because it's only an event for like 2 weeks, 15 days, and when everything was done at the time, all these employees, all these people working for the huge event, they were kind of lost. How come? We've been doing this for the past few years already, maybe since 2002.
Right.
And all of a sudden, only after 15 days, it's done. And what am I going to do next?
Yeah.
Right.
People will get lost.
Do we get up tomorrow early again?
It feels like a good friend has been with you every day, and then now the good friend is gone, and a part of your life is lost, and you need to fill it.
So I just wonder what would happen to you, you know, when you are told, okay,
I'm sure
this is the last day.
I'm a person that can easily move on.
Right, life goes on. In our previous edition, we talked about all these world records, like the largest World Expo Park, and with the most countries and regions or organizations participating, and also the first time being held in a developing country with the most number of volunteers, both Chinese ones and also many international volunteers. And we've also covered the national treasure inside the China Pavilion, and also some very interesting events happening in those pavilions. And there is another one. Actually, we're not quite done yet with this interactive event in these pavilions. We mentioned the one, the source of energy, if I remember what it's called, the huge metal ball,
in the
3 meters in diameter
pavilion.
in the German pavilion. And there is another one, quite interesting, the Japan pavilion. Remember, there is that floorboard, and if you step on that, you will see how much you've generated in terms of power. You see the number of degrees in electricity going up.
I mean, the Japan Pavilion is a place people are very eager to see, because presumably people will presume actually Japan has the latest technology and stuff like
robots
that.
Especially.
Robots.
But their technology different from what we saw in the German pavilion, because that huge metal ball, it's really fun to see that.
Teeny tiny,
that was a showcase of the technology itself. But in the Japan pavilion, I think it's a showcase of how high technology can make our lives easier and more convenient. That's what the Japanese people do.
It's not their exhibits are not gigantic, but they are very independent, very small, but very interesting ones.
This is the outside and inside of the Japan Pavilion. Well, this is a violin playing robot.
We've done an episode particularly about expo robots. So we have different robots coming to the studio to have this kind of competition.
They actually were in your studio?
They were in our studio.
Wow.
And we have the...
Now that's called privilege.
And also
it's nice to be a reporter.
And then we have another very interesting and very famous robot in Shanghai Expo is the French Pavilion, France Pavilion robot called Now.
I didn't see that.
Actually, the robot can dance Michael Jackson.
Oh, really?
He can move, freely, and he can speak 6 languages. It's amazing.
You should hire him on TV.
Yes, it's very interesting to see these little robots, very expensive ones. I mean, the Japanese robots are very, very expensive.
Yeah, once again, it represents the latest development in high technology, and it's a representation of that development. Well, Japan Pavilion. I should go there. I should go to all these places.
I mean, Japan also, besides the robot, they also showcase their automobile industry as well.
Yeah.
Basically, I think, Japan has taken advantage of this expo. The outlook of the pavilions is very unique amongst the others. It looked like a
little
silk baby,
with,
right?
with those horns.
Yeah. To me, it looks like a little bird, but like a little outspace bird, something like that.
So inside the pavilions, actually, people would like to queue. I mean, this is one of the most
4, 5, 6 hours.
Yeah,
for
something like
4,
that.
5 hours to go in there and to see lots of the exhibits. I mean the robot. I mean the technologies and stuff like that. I think it's very interesting.
In our last edition, you mentioned, there are 2 types of buildings or these pavilions. One that is these buildings built by these participating countries or regions or organizations. One, they were built actually by China, rented out to all these participants. This World Expo in Shanghai has the most number of self-built pavilions.
Many of the countries, they spent money to build the pavilion for the first time in their history in participating in the World Expo.
What are they going to do with the building after the expo?
Oh, I believe there are lots of there are
buyers.
a lot of buyers actually. For example, for Macau, for Taiwan Pavilion, they've already found it's been sold out already to one of their counties, and for Norway, the Norway Pavilion, they have bidders already. They're more than popular, I think.
Okay. So what are these buildings going to become later on? I mean, like museums?
For the Saudi Pavilion, they will actually move it back to Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good news because remember about over 5 months ago, before the World Expo actually were open to the public, we had that little discussion. I mean, there are only going to be 4 permanent buildings inside the World Expo, and that was going to be a huge waste.
I'm not sure after 6 months how many going to be left, because some of the pavilions are really, really popular amongst the visitors.
Really?
And I think the government is still struggling to make a decision.
Buyers,
let's go buy building. Come on,
hey,
rich people we like. And
hey, come on, there are rich people in China, and
Right.
I mean it is at least a good result for these buildings. And if after 6 months, after all these money has been spent into the exhibition and these buildings, and it's been torn down, that's going to be a huge waste.
I believe there are going to be ways to properly deal with the structure of it. Sometimes sometimes they will change it into a library or like a theater or like a museum or conference hall like that. And I think because for most of the countries, like the Australian Pavilion as well, they spent lots of money on that. And there's a replica of one of the museums back in their countries. So they will definitely use that these materials are very interesting as well.
And well, the Australian Pavilion looks like huge rock.
Yeah, like a rock.
It does. With the color.
And I know there are going to be grand sales at the end of the expo because, for example, like the Switzerland Pavilion, they're already started. They will start selling these little flashlights.
No.
So they have little flashlights like chips outside their pavilion. So every time you have a flash, if you have a flash, and they will flash back. Actually, they're gonna take those little chips down and sell it to ordinary people.
Wow.
And I also heard a similar story about those, seeds of the UK Pavilion.
Right, they're gonna do that as well.
Sell those seeds out.
The little spikes.
Get me tickets for the last 2 days. I want to go for the grand sale.
But I mean, they were doing different methods.
Okay.
One is like public auction, another the online. Buying and selling.
Online would
different
be
ways,
the best way
I think.
to do it.
You'll get your part if you want to.
Okay, well, a lot to expect actually with the World Expo, even when the door is finally closed. And we'll take another short break, and when we come back, more records about the World Expo in Shanghai. And welcome back to Crossover. We're gonna move on to more records, and this time, well, I don't know if this is correct or not, and it says the most expensive pavilion inside the World Expo is the Saudi Arabia one.
That's absolutely correct.
Most expensive, meaning that they spend most money.
The most investment in building of that
building
pavilion.
this pavilion,
Yeah,
right?
And inside.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, this pavilion is. They spend, I think, over 1 billion.
1 billion.
Yeah, 1 billion.
Dollars?
1 billion RMB. Or something.
That's about 120 or 30 million dollars. Yeah.
Dollars,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's why people are queuing up for 9 hours for each day to see what on earth is inside that pavilion.
Right. 1 billion RMB, I want to
And
see that.
I know that one of the designers of the Saudi pavilion is Chinese, and he is really proud of that because like once the pavilion is open to the public, it gets so popular amongst those people, and even during the summer days,
The very hot
when the
days.
temperature gets,
Right.
40 degrees, people still are queuing there. You know, I don't see any shrinkage of the number of people lining up
Right.
in front of the Saudi pavilion.
What is exactly inside that pavilion? I haven't been there, but we've got some video clip to see.
Oh, the date trees. This is
the
something.
sweet
yeah, the
dates
sweet
from the
dates.
Middle East
I've
area.
tried them.
But
as
that's outside the pavilion.
it's on the balcony.
Yeah.
It's on
All
the
right, I
balcony.
see.
The
Here
top
we
of the
go.
top.
This
of
is
the
inside. People watching a huge screen.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
this
it's
is
more-
the 4D movie that people talk about.
The
is it?
4D.
Wow.
Oh, that one. Oh, that's great.
See, you see the.
It's like you're in a spaceship.
Yeah, it's like a 360 degree,
Amazing.
experience.
Do that again. Play that again.
So it's really 4D, right?
Yeah,
It's
4D is like they give you the sense, the smell, the wind,
Okay. And the rain, possibly.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay.
Drip,
Well,
drip of mist, stuff.
Well, I
like that.
wonder. I got a little bit sick watching the 3D movie. Will I
Yes, you
become
will.
really sick watching the 4D?
Sometimes you'll get sick.
You're feeling like you're probably falling down or something. It's amazing at the same time.
And
it's a
feel
little bit-
that again. I just love this part.
Because in fact, people are walking all the time
They
rather
are.
than standing.
They're moving.
They're moving. So through your journey, actually, everybody is walking. It's
Okay.
like walking through the journey.
So this building will be brought back to Saudi.
Yeah, it will be
okay.
brought
So
back
now
to
the next
Saudi.
time we need to see it, we have to fly all the way there.
But you don't have to actually. In these cities like Beijing and Shanghai, I guess so, and also in other cities, there are quite a few cinemas showing these kind of 4D movies. So
Okay.
you don't have to travel
They're
that
building
far.
lots
Really?
of them after the expo.
And I don't have to
yeah.
wait for 9
I know,
hours
you
to
don't
get
have
in
to.
there.
After Avatar is 3D, and after the Saudi pavilion is 4D.
4D, yeah.
But what is exactly being shown in these movies? I heard one expression about those 4D movies was like a journey back in time. What is it about?
It's actually a transformation of time to the Silk Road. I mean, how people's life have changed over time. I think it's quite dramatic.
So does it tell the lives of people like from the ancient times?
Urbanization,
And then
you
until
know.
nowadays?
Yeah,
It tells
yeah.
the history?
Right.
That way?
And day
So-
and night.
Yeah.
As well.
How long is that movie? I mean, do we have enough time to finish watching the
But
whole movie?
of course,
It should be shorter than 9 hours. So.
it's a couple of minutes. I think.
Yeah.
It's basically a journey. When you enter the pavilion, the movie starts to play, and then when you leave,
Okay.
it ends.
So-
Yeah, it's basically a journey.
It's basically interesting to feel how people feel at the time, because
Yeah.
when you're inside you want to stay there longer, but if you're waiting outside queuing up for your chance,
You
for
hope
your turn
people
to go
come
in.
out sooner.
Yeah, exactly, you want people to stay lesser time inside.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. What is the most popular product or commodity inside the World Expo?
Previously, it was like expo passports.
Okay, there are two things.
Yeah, two
No,
things.
oh.
Little stools, little
Oh yeah,
paper
totally
chairs.
stool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen people, especially elder people and little kids, they carry a little stool. Because if you have to wait in a line for like 9 hours,
Yeah.
Inevitably, you get tired, you have to sit down.
And then at the very beginning, I think the organizer has realized the importance of giving out free ones to those elderly and you know those needy. So basically, they gave out several thousand you know free plastic stools, foldable stools to those people when it was approaching summer, and now then some of the manufacturers got inspired and started to produce those folded plastic stools. And even you can see those people were sitting on their stools in the metro station. Waiting for the metro lines.
So it's the queue is indeed very long.
Very, very long.
Yeah.
The queues, I believe, the Saudi Arabia pavilion probably will be, as you mentioned, its longest queue. But for China Pavilion, people would like to queue there, but you can't because you
it's
have
a limited
to have a
number
ticket.
of visitors usually.
Yeah, so it's like 50,000 a day.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot, but only
Wow.
just sometimes it's only 1/10 of the number of visitors entering the
Want to
park
be
that
there.
day.
Okay.
So you have to reserve in advance. Sometimes it's reserved for group visitors. So it's a great shame that lots of people cannot go into the
I
China
agree.
Pavilion.
But at
a
least
shame.
we still have that hope because the
Yeah.
pavilion is still going to
Yeah.
be there, and hopefully that huge
Permanently.
scroll painting will be coming back after the exhibition in Hong Kong.
Right, even with the reserved tickets, you still have to wait 2 hours.
Oh,
So that means
okay.
the booking ticket gives you the chance, the right to wait.
At least
For
you have
another-
the
Right,
possibility to
right,
get into
right,
the pavilion that
right.
day.
Right,
Wow.
wow. And that's the inspiration from the World Expo. We're going to take another short break. When we come back, we are going to talk about passports.
排了7个小时，
1个小时，
大概1小时吧，
排了3个小时，排了大概3个小时。
1个半小时左右吧。
To enter the New Zealand one was 20 minutes.
And welcome back to Crossover. Now move on to another very sought after item, passports. World Expo passport. That is a great invention, you know, that at least gives you something to remember by.
Yeah.
And then there are different versions, different types of passports, like for kids
Actually,
ones, cartoon
yeah.
ones,
This
things
is
like
a product line actually, when you have different versions of passports.
Yeah.
And I know there are actually for the official version there were 2 versions, the old version, the new version. It's because like the old version is not complete. Some of the pavilions are not within the old pavilions.
Right.
So what we can see now is the old version of the Expo
that's the
passport.
old version, okay.
Passport is for you to have a stamp on. That means you've been there.
Yeah.
So I guess for some it is more important to have the stamp on the passport instead of.
I've seen people like holding like 10, 20 passports in his hands and just going to the stamp desk and chop every one of
exactly.
them.
I know some of the reason is just like those people just get in there with the chop and then they just leave.
They don't
They don't really
have
go
any
in.
interest inside.
Yeah, they don't see any exhibit over there.
Well, that kind of loses the meaning of the World Expo. It's really for you to go there and see and feel and then learn about the country rather than just with a stamp. Of course, the stamp is
I mean,
nice,
people
but
have different needs and they have their ways of understanding the
people are
value
different, I
of
understand.
an event like this. Let's move on to the next one, a delicious one. This time it's about food. It seems, you know, the World Expo is
That's
the
my
one
favorite.
with the biggest variety of foods from different countries and continents.
Really likes to eat.
I do. I've tried out in the Spain pavilion.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the restaurant. I've tried out their the fried rice, the Spanish
Seafood.
fried rice, and the tapa. And also we tried the Czech one with the roast pork knee things.
Very good pick.
Really nice, yeah. And also the Mexican one with the tacos, different kinds
absolutely.
of tacos.
I feel hungry now.
Oh, there's a kind of taco in the Mexican pavilion.
With chocolate sauce.
Yeah, with chocolate sauce, and it's a bit spicy.
Right.
It's amazing,
Right.
amazing. It's
Oh, you've tried the essence of the Expo Park,
because
according to my understanding.
Because every time I go into the Expo Park, I see too many people. I was like, okay, I just want to go eat. Because you don't have to wait in the queue to get in the
it's
restaurant.
just like the passport, and some go for the passport, and
Some
you
go
go for the food.
Oh yeah, now I get it. Okay. I feel like was like waiting, eating, shopping, taking pictures at night time. When the lights are on along the Huangpu River, it was beautiful.
So it was in the evening, not in the daytime with all the sunshine.
Well, you have to eat lunch and then you wait for supper. It gets
So
dark.
it's all about food.
I think the nightlife in the Expo Park is very different from the daytime.
When are they closed?
About
10,
10:30 sometimes.
Yeah, because the last time, the latest time I was there, we were eating at the Czech restaurant. It was already like past 9 p.m. or something. It was very nice. Not many people. We have candles lit on our tables. We ate and we chatted, and then we took the boat across the river, and then we walk out. That was a good
They have like
experience.
invited Michelin 3-star chefs.
Yeah,
this
Michelin
time.
3-star chefs. Yeah.
So it's very, it's worth visiting.
Wow.
What did you have in there?
I tried some of the French food
Okay.
and then Spanish food as
And
well.
also whiskey.
Yeah, lots of alcohol.
I bet.
So you could be very good doing your reports.
Right.
In the very beginning of our discussion, we said who would have covered all these different pavilions and how many times they could manage to be back in that pavilion or the World Expo.
And we said it's impossible to us.
Well,
I
I don't know
believe-
if there is anyone who's covered all these pavilions, but obviously we're going to show you a picture of this visitor, actually from Japan. She's been to the World Expo for many times, and well, she's been to lots of pavilions. Just take a look. She's from
Japan.
Japan, 61 years old, and 5 years ago, she's definitely desperately enthusiastic about World Expos, and talking about the previous one, the one in Japan 5 years ago.
Aichi.
In Aichi. And in the 185-day period, she went to the World Expo for 243 times.
Yes. So
No. That was like more than once in a day.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
So because this lady is from Aichi, so
Okay.
she is a native Aichi, resident.
So it's quite convenient
It's
for
very
her to-
convenient for her to journey, back in, forward.
Yeah.
There must be a monthly ticket or
Yeah,
a
I'm-
year
Yeah,
It's
they
like
have
a
like
half-year
multi-entry.
pass
This
or
time as well, because she actually relocated to Shanghai for
Wow.
this event.
Just for this World Expo?
Really? She moved to
She
Shanghai?
moved to Shanghai, actually. She rented an apartment in Pudong.
Okay.
Together with her son and her husband.
Oh, really?
So they spent like 700,000 RMB.
Wow.
Visiting the Expo Park. I think to me, she's a little bit crazy.
Well, she should be the ambassador for the World Expo.
Right.
Yeah.
She should.
Not only the one in Shanghai.
She was actually when during the promotion week in Japan, she was crowned. She was given the certificate as the
yes, she should,
ambassador.
yeah.
I feel it's very very interesting. It's like Japanese people have this kind of enthusiasm for the expo.
Yeah, for expos and for like theme parks.
Yeah.
They love those things. They always do.
It's in their blood. I mean.
Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe in the future, the World Expo possibly, like Disneyland, they would have hotels inside or probably outside, but attached to the park.
So World Expo hotels then?
For visitors like this Japanese lady, she can go in there and she can live there. It's easy for her to travel
At least for
back.
one night or 2 nights?
Yeah, that's what you've mentioned before is probably the predictions for future usage of the pavilions.
Yeah.
Probably we can
Interesting.
have an expo village.
And there is another visitor, also very impressive. This time it's a visitor from China, but he could be the oldest visitor to the World Expo in Shanghai.
Really?
96 years old.
Oh, he doesn't look 96. He looks like
And
over
he was
80.
accompanied by his daughter, over 70 years old. And he's been to the World Expo for 7 times.
Yeah,
Wow.
for an old man like him, it's like 96 years old.
96
and
years
7
old.
times in the
I
Expo
can't
Park. I can't
imagine.
believe it.
So 96 years old and 7 times in the World Expo Park. Well, that is impressive.
Yeah.
Just remember, it's very hot in the summertime.
Yeah,
Right.
for me, for a person like me and you, like we are still young and we can't go there like.
Especially you, because you have a privilege, you know, and you couldn't endure the heat.
It's a huge expo park.
Right.
And with all the preferences, they don't have to queue up